Simply H here, coming live at you from the Nerd Cave in Bristol. I figured I would just quickly, or as quickly as possible, share my video game journey with you. So basically, I made a comment on one of Pop Culture Deathmatch's videos this week, and he said he would like to hear more about my memories of South Africa and my memories of particularly the games I used to play and all that. And him being the nerd of the 80s, really, I figured I would start there. I would start with where my journey started. So basically, I was born in 1980, so that's many moons ago. It's 38 years ago now, and so obviously my gaming ladder starts from the early 80s, and basically I'm going to take you as far as I can in the time that I have available. So yeah, I try to list it all, but I know there's going to be timelines that I'm going to leave out. There's going to be games that I'm going to leave out because of memory and all that stuff, but I'm going to give it the best crack I can at the moment. So yeah, basically starting from the top. So I was born in a town called Dagama Park, which is a military town because both my parents were in the military. My dad was in the Marines, and my mom was working as an admin person for the Navy as well. So we were living, or I grew up in a military town. In that town, there's a little shop that is a military supply store, which is basically in our day, it was called sadfi or SAVI, which is South African Defence Force Institute. I don't understand why they would call it that, but anyway, that was the name of the shop. And over there, they had two arcade games. And back in, obviously, in those days, it was 20 cents for a game. So basically, each person would put their coin at the top of the game, and you would kind of move it on as to when it's your turn to play the game. The one that I vividly remember being there is Elevator Action. I also remember there being a Pac-Man. Obviously, through the years, they changed the games out and they put different games there. But the two that I remember the most is Pac-Man and Elevator Action, which I also enjoyed playing, obviously. There was also, at one stage, Street Fighter, which was also a very popular game at the time. So the journey didn't start there, however. Before that, it started back in Fishhook. So that's about 7 kilometers away from where I grew up, is where my grandmother used to stay. And my best friend was my grandmother's neighbor's kids, or yeah. So we went to school together and all that. And they had an Atari system where we used to play things like Donkey Kong and oh flip, what is, I think I wrote it down somewhere, but it's the Arkanoid, I think it's called, with the where you shoot the little alien people coming down and all that stuff. So that was my first like journey into games. His dad wasn't a pilot of some sort for the South African Airways, so they were able to get the coolest toys and things like that because he actually got them stuff from overseas. And in the early 80s, or for most of the 80s, South Africa was under embargo, so we obviously didn't get many of the things. So yeah, they were the first guys, or the first time I saw any video games was over next door at the pilot's kid's house. And yeah, as I said, it was like an Atari game. His dad one year brought him a Top Gun game, which we were like so in love with. It basically entailed what looked like an audio cassette that you put in, and then you would put on almost like virtual reality goggles at the moment, but it had the earphones in and it had some sort of screen that you put on, and you were able to listen to the audio of Top Gun, and then you would see like a little jet going by. It's almost like those things that you used to get, that kaleidoscope things. It's almost that sort of picture. It was really, there was no video as such. It's just basically the light that came through, so you saw a 3D picture of the sky, and as if you are sitting inside the cockpit. and then the earphones had the sound coming through of the airplane, and we used to play around with that a lot. So that was not quite a video game, but it was a really cool toy that he had. And I remember the caption, or I remember them saying at one point in the game, she's climbing like a homesick angel, and that's pretty much what I can remember. Again, it's many years ago. Then after that, we got the Nintendo, a little console, obviously. So I don't have any older brothers or sisters. I've got a younger sister, so the two of us used to play. And in there, we used to get the 11 in 1 and the 20 in 1 and all that stuff. So some of the games that we enjoyed playing was Ice Climber, Contra, Tanks, Donkey Kong. There was a tennis game. There was a Simpsons with aliens involved. I remember playing that. Obviously Mario Brothers, Zippy Nippy with I think it's a motorbike. Dig Dug, Bubble Bubble. There was Excite Bike, which was pretty cool as well. 1942 was the aeroplane game, and Tetris, and obviously Street Fighter, because that was the big one we used to like to go play down at the arcade. Or not the arcade, at the cafe. So speaking of arcades and cafes, so our journey is basically we first went to the cafe, which was nearby, that sadfi store I told you about. Then in Fishhook there was a place called Sharps, where we used to go and play pool and be able to play arcade games, which was like, it's a 7 kilometer journey, so it was quite a thing to get there. But then 28 years ago in October, a place opened up by the name of Wonderland in N1 City. This was like the biggest gaming arcade that we'd ever seen. There was nothing like it before that. There's a lot more since that, but they were definitely like the best place to go and play games. And over there was stuff like Outrun, WWF, FIFA, obviously. There was Pac-Man, Golden Axe, Double Dragon 2, Crossfire, which was a helicopter game. Aero Fighters, which was also an aeroplane game. There was the drum machines that you used to be able to play. Time Crisis is later on, but that was there as well. Fast and Furious, Road Rash, Paperboy, Crazy Taxi, Tekken, and Mortal Kombat. Again, all of those games were at different times that it was there, so it wasn't there originally when they opened. In fact, when they opened, they had what we call putt-putt, and what they call here in England crazy golf, or adventure golf, what have you. So yeah, we used to go play putt-putt there, and you used to be able to shoot some pool, and obviously play all these arcade games. So then computers and things started coming up, and we started to play more PC games. The PC games I remember the most, obviously Tetris was a big one at first. Solitaire, of course, that was like your starter pack. But Wolfenstein, which was the first person shooter, basically Doom. SimCity, which was the first one, was really like weird. It was like blues and grays, really, and used to so SimCity, as you know. Age of Empires was a big favorite of mine, but that was later on in years. I think that was around like the 90s or so, 97, 98. There was a game called Myst, which was basically a friend of mine that lives in England now. Jason, he's been quite active on my YouTube and my Facebook. He used to have Rainbow Six and this Myst game, which was basically a mystery solving game, which is the first time I was intrigued by that sort of thing. Before that, though, we used to love playing FIFA. Yes, on the computer with a mouse, or on the two-player. One had half the keyboard, the other one had the mouse and the other half of the keyboard. That was pretty cool. What else is on here? Right. So again, when I was a bit younger, we had the Sega games. So the Sega games we used to play was Sonic the Hedgehog, another type of Olympic game. Jonolomu Rugby, Brian Abana. Brian Abana. Brian Lara Cricket, Ian Botham Cricket, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and Crash Bandicoot. So Tony Hawk and Crash is obviously from PlayStation. So that brings me into that part of the the life. So there, I used to like playing pool on the PlayStation. I used to obviously Tony Hawk. There was what's this one? Gallagher, Daytona, and Snow Brothers. That was all the games that I played on there. Again, it's all like mixed up in my memory of obviously and in my timeline of what we played when. But basically, we started off with Atari at that guy's house next door. Then we went on to the Nintendo console where we played at home. Then we went on out into the arcades and we went to go play. Obviously, first at the cafe down the road, then at shops, and then eventually at Wonderland. The consoles went Atari, Nintendo, Sega, then PlayStation. So in South Africa as well, the poorer kids, we used to hire games and hire consoles. So we used to be able to hire a Sega console from our video store, and obviously the games. So we would have like stay awakes or whatever. Then you would hire the console and 2 or 3 games, and you would stay awake the whole night because you have to have it back again the next morning at 11 o'clock. So that was one of the fun things or fonder memories that I have. The same went on with PlayStation 1. I didn't own a PlayStation 1 for a long time. I owned my first one after I'd left school, which was 98. So I only owned my first PlayStation like in late 98, early 99. Obviously PlayStation 2 and all that stuff as well. But yeah, the main games that I remember is Circus Charlie, The Simpsons, Mario, Zippy Nippy, Dig Dug, Double Bubble, the Elevator Action, the WWE or WWF back then, Outrun, Pac-Man, Golden Axe, Double Dragon 2, Crossfire, Aero Fighters, the Drum Machine, of course, Time Crisis, Street Fighter, Tetris, Excite Bike, 1942, Fast and Furious, Road Rash, The Paperboy, Crazy Taxi, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, Sonic the Hedgehog, the Olympics, Journal Army Rugby, FIFA Soccer from the like 90s all the way through till 2017. I've had a copy of the game. Brian Lara, Ian Botham, Tony Hawk, Crash Bandicoot, Rainbow Six, Myst, Age of Empires, SimCity, Wolfenstein, and then the other things we used to play was Daytona, Snow Bros, and Gallagher. And then obviously at the arcades they used to have like pool, and they used to have air hockey, and there was a Terminator game as well. I can't remember the name of it. But it's basically like first person shooter, but you actually had the gun and you were whacking that at the machine. That was pretty fun as well. And then obviously when I went on to PlayStation 2 and 3 and 4, which is what I have now, there's a lot of the games that I still play. So basically my favorite game, if I have to think back at any game, it is God of War. I was only introduced to that late, but I really loved it. So I played each of the games in the series, all of the God of War games. I went on after Garden War with pickaxes and spades and stuff. After God of War, I went on to Assassin's Creed, which I really enjoyed. I think it's the second or the third one that I enjoyed the most. I didn't enjoy all of them, but yeah, the second or the third one was my favorite. What else? I being like a sports gamer or sports guy, I like the sports type games. So I like the cricket. I played a lot of FIFA. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that obviously Tekken. I was a big fan of Tekken and Mortal Kombat, like one-to-one fighter games. That was pretty cool as well. Injustice. That was some of the last PlayStation 3 games that I grabbed. There was the Arkham series, which I still love and loved, that I got into. And then there was the SmackDown, Raw versus SmackDown, and all that. The WWE games was good fun as well. Um, I think I've played a form of them as well for a very long time. Tony Hawk, as I said before, I went as I've played from the first one till the last one. Um, all the Tony Hawk games, which is definitely like, again, it's more sporty. So I was more in the sporty thing. I only in the last, I would say, 5 years or so, got into playing anything that wasn't sports related, um, or and I'm calling WWE a sport, but it's entertainment. Either way, I was more into that sort of stuff. But yeah, and then obviously Crash Bandicoot and Sonic and that sort of stuff was also a big part of my growing up. So yeah, from 1984, 5, I would say, till about 19 was let's say 2001. I had some sort of interest or some sort of part of gaming, and then it slacked down a bit for a few years. I didn't play as much. We used to have like when I was working already. So when I was a bit older, we used to have evenings where we used to do the circuits on Gran Turismo. So yeah, we did that as well. So you would do like something stupid like 90 laps or something like that, and you'd go on to unlock things and so on. So yeah, that was also something. I'm not a big car enthusiast or big car game fan, but yeah, we did play some of that. I did enjoy. I think it's called Crash. So what you basically used to do is you were a stunt. No, you were some. There's a race. You can do races and you can do actual like stunts. So for the races, you had to either crash the guys off the course, the other people, and then win the race, or there was another race where you had to see how much not a race. It was basically like each stage you have a part where you have to see how much damage you can make, and it's monetary value. So you would like hit a ramp and then you would go into a truck, the truck would explode and all that stuff. That's also one that I enjoy, and I still have all my PlayStation 3 games, but I don't have a console for it. So that's all in storage at the moment. My PlayStation 4 games, I don't have many at the moment. I've got the Arkham games. I've got a trilogy, the first three Assassin's Creed games, and I've got WWE, and that's more or less it that I own at the moment. We tried to buy this new Spyro, but the disc didn't work, so we're sending it back to Amazon. But yeah, that is definitely the newest game we've got. But yeah, thank you so much for the idea, Mr. Pop Culture Deathmatch. It was really cool, and it was fun for me to take the walk down memory lane. It's a pity that I can't remember like dates and stuff. The thumbnail I'm going to put on for this video, not the one at the moment, the one that's coming, has got a picture of both Wonderland and Shops. But because the sadfi store or whatever was military, and it was pretty much like secret. In fact, you couldn't see our town on the map for many years because of it being a military town. So that was one of those weird things that I went through as a youngster. But the thumbnail, I've got a picture of both Wonderland and of Shops for you, just to it basically runs my memory. But this was good fun. So yeah, Shops was very fondly remembered because it was like basically the one we used to escape to. And the trouble with being a youngster was, or with arcades and a youngster, if you don't have pocket money, you've got to find ways of of making money in order to play arcade games, and that was half the fun as well. But yeah, fun memories on a lot of these games. I think to this day, I think my favorite series has to be God of War still. the whole series was great. I enjoyed that, and I enjoy that type of gameplay, if I could put it that way. Um, the games that I played the most probably would be the Tony Hawk franchise. I played a lot of Tony Hawk. I hired it a lot. I owned it and then played it a lot as well. And FIFA was also one that I played a lot. In later years, I didn't enjoy it as much. I think the last one I've got is 17, FIFA 17. I got it with my PlayStation, and I'm not as fond of it anymore as I was back then. But yeah, some fun memories. We also these Outrun and Pac-Man and all that. We used to go camping once a year, and there was a little arcade and a crazy golf or putt-putt over there as well, where we used to play this. We also had the games, obviously, that you sit in the car and you drive. I think that's the Daytona. Daytona was one of those. So yeah, I do know there's some of the consoles that didn't make it to South Africa, and there's one like the Nintendo. There was a cube, a game cube or something. You can correct me, or you can let me know in the thing that I didn't play. I don't think we had it in South Africa, or I just didn't play it. But the Games Cube is something I didn't get my hands on. The Sega, I think, was called the Sega Saturn. The Nintendo, or I don't even know if it was called Nintendo, because I think what we got was like knockoffs. So it wasn't the real actual thing. I think it was like knockoffs from other countries. So it wasn't the actual like Nintendo, but it was the same games. Atari, as I said, that's the only reason I was able to play that or got hands onto that was because of that guy's dad who was the pilot. So he got out of the country and was able to bring stuff back, which was cool. And a lot of that is basically or the same kind of vein as our music as well in South Africa. A lot of the stuff we had to get from people from outside of the country that was able to get the games that you wanted or whatever. Not games, the music that you want to, because obviously we were barred from the rest of the world. So a lot of the stuff was redacted and banned and all that stuff. Same with movies. A lot of movies that we weren't able to just readily get from a video store or what have you. We would get from people that went overseas and brought some stuff back. So yeah, it was very much illegal. Some of the movies and things that I to this day enjoy and now can own freely. And in fact, in South Africa, you can own much of that stuff freely now as well. It's not like they still have bans on videos and games and music and stuff like that I know of. I mean, they might, but nothing that I know of. But in the early 80s, early 90s, late 80s, while I was growing up, there was definitely some of that going on. And then obviously piracy. I mean, we used to listen to the radio and record your favorite song and hope the DJ doesn't talk and stuff like that. So that was also part of our journey, making your cassettes and stuff. As far as music goes, there was a guy that used to come on late nights on Sundays, and his name was Barney Simon, the Barney Simon Night Show. Yeah, so we used to like stay up to listen to that, and then you would record the music on there. The same with the bands. I mean, you had friends like myself. I said I only have a younger sister, so I had older friends and friends with older siblings that introduced us to things like Def Leppard and all that stuff. So your parents would introduce you to one thing in your family or what have you, but then the older brothers and that they would introduce you to the cooler things, if I could put it that way. So yeah, I look back on my childhood very fondly when it comes to things like games and music and movies. So yeah, anytime you want to ask me any questions about these things, please go ahead. If you want something more focused, or if you want to ask specific questions or want me to talk about specific games, movies, or music, I will gladly do so. As I say, it was a lot of fun for me. to even just think about it. Never mind just like come up with it. So yeah, Pop Culture Deathmatch, thank you so much. People, go have a look at his videos. He's a fantastic YouTuber. He's got great content, and I think he should have a video out later on today, as it is Thursday and he does his 4-minute Thursdays. I think it's around 6 that he brings these videos out, so go have a look over there for that. Yeah, he's all about the pop culture, about the gaming, about Funko Pops, all that stuff. So yeah, go have a look there. He's got a fantastic channel. Other than that, I'll probably only chat to you again. I might make a video tomorrow around the rugby, because obviously South Africa is facing Wales in Cardiff on Saturday. I'm looking forward to watching that. We are going to the stadium to go watch that, so that's a big one for us. So yeah, I'll probably do a preview video of that, and then if not Saturday afternoon, maybe Sunday morning, I'll do a post match thing about the match on Saturday. And then yeah, on Monday I'll see you again for your weekly update. Other than that, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for watching. If you did, you will be able to watch this because it goes onto my video archive. So it's not that only the live people are watching. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you again over the weekend. Cheers. Bye.